Hello and welcome to NewsNet Nebraska. I'm Caleb Doman. With me today is Professor James Le Sueur, and he is currently working on a book and a documentary about exiled writers around the world. What are exiled writers around the world exactly? What do you mean by that?
Well, the writers that I work on are intellectuals and artists who have been put in a position of exile, people who've been forced abroad because of religious or ideological persecution. So primarily the people that I work on are Muslims or people from Muslim-majority states who have written artworks that have gotten them into difficulty in their home countries. And in my case, I've interviewed some 35, maybe 40 intellectuals who've been forced into exile. And it's part of an ongoing, what I call an oral history project. And the idea is to archive these interviews in a digital framework where scholars and researchers around the world can have access to material.
What got you interested in this topic?
I guess my primary point of interest was in the late 1980s. I was a graduate student, or just going to graduate school, in the Salman Rushdie case. It was a formative kind of moment for me because I remember quite distinctly I was going to go to a book signing of his, and he had to cancel it because the fatwa was issued against him, which essentially sentenced him to death. And subsequently he had to go into hiding. And the Salman Rushdie affair, the Salman Rushdie case, kind of laid an impression on me. And I've always been interested in what happened to him. And so the purpose of the research that I'm doing, part of it is to find out what happens to writers following the Salman Rushdie case. In other words, how many writers like Salman Rushdie had to go into hiding because they were writing books that were deemed inappropriate by what I would call radical Islamists, people with a political agenda to censor artists for producing works of art.
So do the governments of these countries, are they the ones that exile them or tell them to leave, or is it other radical groups that do this? Like do they get a letter, you can't live here anymore? Exactly what is the process that would go through to?
Some of the people have direct threats. It's not generally the government. The government's business is not to exile writers. In fact, the government doesn't most of the time want, the governments from Egypt or Algeria or other places doesn't want the intellectuals to leave. But nevertheless, they are threatened by radical Islamists within these countries. And the way that usually happens, as has been told to me by most of these people, is it usually happens with an anonymous threat or a name is posted. In one case, one of the exiled writers I interviewed in Paris, his name appeared on a list of people to be executed that was posted in a mosque, in his mosque. So,
why do you think this should concern Americans, or does it concern Americans today?
Absolutely. If Americans want to know about the so-called Muslim world, they have to know who these people are. They have to be able to see the diversity of the countries. They have to be able to understand and appreciate the intelligence that's out there, the raw intelligence of these people. You would be amazed, I think you will be amazed when you see the film, how incredibly intelligent these people are. And it's really a true privilege to be able to just sit down in an afternoon and do interviews with these people, because these are among the best minds in the world.
I want to thank our guest, Professor James Le Sueur, for being with us here today. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Until next time, I'm Caleb Doman for NewsNet Nebraska.